Hello, Corey.
Hello, Sid. Hello, Sid.
Oh, so you're saying there were some parts here as we step into doing an exploration and celebration of Corey's system. And would you like to share kind of what's up that's here?
Yeah, there's one part that just wants to say, my just kind of my body and my system, crying is a very important healing practice.
Hmm.
And so it's something I've learned is really a gift that I cry very easily. And I've learned to just kind of really, really cry. So my parts like to just say that ahead of time. I don't know if it'll happen today or not.
Like it's not a problem. It's like a celebration. It's like, oh wow, something's
Exactly.
really happening here.
Exactly. It's like, oh, this is so I'm so happy I get to cry. That's how I view it, so that other folks don't, oh, he's in so much pain. No, it's actually this is something leaving that doesn't need to be here anymore. And the tears are the kind of vehicle for that. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, so that's the main one. Um, I have parts that sometimes kind of can start thinking about the process quite a bit, but I've learned how to work with that, so
Great.
I'm not too worried about it.
Great. What I usually like to do is start with how self is showing up in our system, and then going to just what you've started doing, and then it's like, okay, what parts are here, and just this
Yeah,
just gets to be real life,
yeah,
and we get
yeah,
to enjoy, appreciate your system and the parts that are here. How does that
yeah.
sound?
Great. That sounds good.
Nice.
Um,
How, how is how is self? How is beingness present here now?
yeah, there's just this natural, I don't know, this smile that's coming, like it's kind of leading me to this deeper, it's really joy. Just like not a lot to say about it. And there's some tears coming in. Just probably tears might be from some parts who are just so happy to experience this joy.
Mm. So there's joy here.
Yeah,
And as we notice and feel into the joy, what else do we find here? Is there a calm, a peace, a stillness, an openness, a spaciousness, a connectedness, a sense
yeah,
of acceptance, a welcoming? What flavors do you
yeah,
find here?
yeah. It's a deep sense of connectedness, like a rooted, like roots go deep. Um, Even I'm on the second floor, even through the floor. The roots go deep into the earth, into that which is beyond.
Mm. And this connectedness, is there a sense of a boundary to the connectedness?
No, it's like It's like there are these roots that go into the earth and then just then it's kind of the difference between me and the um I would say God, or just um kind of this deeper loving presence. It it becomes, there's a oneness. um so boundary just doesn't have a lot of meaning, I guess.
Lovely, lovely. And just this oneness, and there's a reason we're doing this, because this depth of this spiritual exploration Corey has done, and this the realizations that have happened for him with just what you're describing, this sense of this oneness, this connectedness, this rootedness, this joy. We're wanting to really get a sense of what's here, because then our parts and the remnants of our past that are still here, they get to find this and know that home is here, that what they're longing for, this peace, this acceptance, this love, this oneness, and to feel that that's here for them. And so for that, I was just going to ask a few more questions so we can get your system can get a sense of what's here, this oneness that's here. You're experiencing that, this lack of separation, this lack of, you can't find boundaries. How else would you describe a flavor of that? Is there a warmth there? Is there a kindness, a care, a love? Is there an acceptance there? What do you find?
Yeah, there's just this deep sense of being okay, of belonging. I can just feel the parts just so, just so happy this is here.
Mm, beautiful.
And that it's like yeah, just absolute belonging, this kind of a welcoming, um this sense that no matter what, it's unconditional. I think that quality is very important.
Unconditional welcoming.
Unconditional welcoming, acceptance, belonging, love.
Okay, and then let's just notice what the somatic experience of that is. This unconditional welcoming, love, belonging, acceptance. Notice that as it's experienced here in this body, and as there's awareness of it in the space here.
Yeah. Um, yeah, the body is pretty relaxed. Um, there seems to be a slight tension of just maybe parts around, being recorded or whatever. It's pretty slight. The overall sense is relaxation and really an attunement to the body.
Yeah, so as we have that, there's this experiencing that's happening in the body, the sensations. Then there's this
Yeah.
unconditional love and acceptance.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can notice, just to notice the flavor, the frequency of that that's here, as that. if we find that in the body as well, this unconditional acceptance.
Mm, mhm.
And then with this, let's open this up further, Corey.
Mhm.
We got a sense of how self occurs, appears, exists, is here. And let's just do one kind of little skillful means thing, which is you've done it before with me. Just let's just do the thumb thing. Let's just put a thumb out in front of you. If you'll indulge me for just a moment with that, with your arm up and this arm straight, as if that thumb is apart, right? And we have our attention on it. Could be with our eyes or just knowing that it's there. And let's just find sometimes when the attention is when we're looking at an object or we're looking at a part, there's a sense that it comes from our kind of our head, and it's like we're paying attention to that part. And then I'd like you to put another thumb up in front of you, as if it's maybe another part, and just see if you can be aware of both of those thumbs. So you can see both of them in the same view.
Mhm.
Then I invite you to just widen the arm slowly while you're seeing both the thumbs and take it to the very peripheral of your view.
Mhm.
And notice that you're aware of from here, as you see the thumbs, there's awareness of the space in front of you, space
Mhm.
of the body. Then let the thumbs continue behind you as you're watching them, and you can't see them with your eyes, but
Mhm.
notice that there's awareness of them. And as you're
Mhm.
awareness, so if you're aware of both of them behind you, how that opens the space up to this 360-degree awareness
Mhm.
as you see the thumbs behind you, and then you can go ahead and let them down. But as
Mhm.
you let them down, this will be one of our kind of themes as we go along today, which is it's it's a big deal. It's where your awareness is coming from.
Mhm.
And I think we were already there with your system before we did this, but
Mhm.
just the sense of being aware of the thumbs behind you and how it's
Mhm.
kind of like I call it a planetarium view. It's like the space, and
Mhm.
we're aware of the space all around you.
Mhm.
And then from there, from the spaciousness, these qualities of self you were describing, can we find them throughout, permeating throughout the space?
Mhm.
This unconditional love,
Mhm.
connectedness, this joy, this oneness. It's not just in the body, in front of you, behind you, around you. This
Mhm.
boundarylessness of it, this
Mhm.
welcoming. Nice. And then from here, let's just, we're just going to be aware of the precious parts of Corey that arise in this field of presence, in this field of self. And as we become aware of them, there's a sense of being aware of, sense of where do we hear that voice? Or where do we feel the sensation? Or where do we see it as far as this part, which are just the kind of the thoughts, feelings, and sensations that we know as parts, which allows them to be more of an object that we can be aware of and we can welcome home for their healing and unburdening. Um,
Mhm.
the sense of a location. So this is where it gets a little tricky because it's almost like we'll see what your metaphor is, but often there's this one I often use a sense of a planetarium. It's just the galaxy, the spaciousness of this beingness, and then it's like a constellation of our parts as we become aware of them. And I'm wondering what's showing up for you in terms of parts.
Mhm. Yeah, so like which parts are showing up or who or
Yeah, what parts are showing up, or what voices are you hearing?
yeah. So there's one part who this is a spiritual part who
We don't
says,
at this point we don't need a lot of details. It's just kind of a
okay,
sense
just
of
kind of
it.
where, yeah.
Is it like a spiritual, what do you call it? Like we need like a label for it, like a spiritual achiever. What
Yeah.
would you call it?
Yeah, just spiritual achiever. So that one is showing up.
And around where do you find this one, the spiritual achiever? Often in my system, it shows up outside in front to the left, the spiritual
Yeah,
achiever. Where do you find it?
this one's usually to my right, kind of right up here.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So we're aware of the spiritual achiever that's out to the right. We're
yeah.
aware of that. And what else are we aware of? What other parts, voices, sensations are we having?
Oh, there's a part that wants to do it right, wants to do this process right.
Great. The do it right part. I know this kind of
Yeah,
authority in my system. Where do you find this, the do it right part?
right. Well, right now it's starting to fill my face. It feels like it's like in my head, and not just like up here, but like in my
Mhm.
face.
Great. And I just want to say something for your parts. When I say we don't go into the story, we don't need to hear too much of the story of the part, it's because we're
Yeah,
wanting to go even deeper into the part. We want to hear the part even deeper than that. And
yeah,
so we are wanting to fully, there's a sense of fully receiving it, just that unconditional love and acceptance you were describing, and where we're going to go
yeah.
with these parts is really hearing what it is that they're longing for, and we're going to help
Right.
them find that. And so there's no sense of pushing anything away. We won't be asking any parts to step back here today. There's a sense
Yeah,
of celebrating and welcoming everything that shows up in Corey's system.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and where these two are showing up right now is one wants to say something, the spiritual achiever wants to say something.
Great.
And to do it right, guys, like, no, you're not supposed to say anything right now.
Sure. What
And
does your
so,
spiritual achiever want to say? Oh, what does he want to say?
so he wants to say that he has a couple of parts, you know, that he wants me to work with today.
Great. Great.
So he wants to kind of, we don't need to go into the details, but he just wants to say, like, these two could probably use a little help.
It's an opportunity. We get to, we're facilitating people in IFS all the time. Wow, we get to be facilitated. Let's make sure we
Yeah,
have this be, useful and helpful. Great. And but so hearing that, let's tune in and see what's here. Like if they're here, if those parts are here, like what are the loudest parts that are coming, voices that we're finding in our system? Is there anything else that the achiever needs to say now for us?
um I mean, no, not right now. Yeah,
Okay.
that's he just wants us to know that. And
And
um
thank you. Those parts are so welcomed.
yeah. um
What else do you find here? And we're aware of this again, this do it right part. It's kind of filling
yeah.
in the face. So it's a part, it's a precious part that's wanting to do this right, get the most out of this. And so we're aware of
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But what else is here?
Right. um so it's there's a question coming in from the do it right part. It's
Uh-huh.
hard to notice anything else other than that.
Okay. So before we go to the question,
Yeah,
so a lot of this game is is what we did with the thumbs. A
yeah.
lot of this
Right,
game is
right, right,
watching
right.
as the parts come up. There's a sense that the parts have gotten fulfillment from Corey's attention.
Yeah,
Okay, that's how they found fulfillment in the past. And so,
yeah,
we might call it blending, getting your attention, but they
yeah,
haven't. What we're going to open them up to, help them see, is that what they're looking for is available in the space in which they're arising, and they
yeah.
don't need to do that. If anything, that can get in the way of getting what they want.
Right,
And
beautiful.
so we're just going to notice where we're aware, if we're, as we hear this do it right part, Are we also aware of, can we see the thumbs behind us in our imagination?
Mm. Yeah.
And notice when we're aware of the thumbs behind us and we're aware of the space, or this space that's here, then from there, then we're aware of this do it right part that's arising in this.
Mm-hmm.
And can we be aware of two or more parts at the same time, this do it right part and the spiritual achiever that's out to the right? See if we can be aware of both of those, like one view. We're seeing them both from the zoomed out place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm aware from this just deep sense of what I described earlier, belonging. Okay. And I'm aware of a number of parts. Um, Present, and it's not necessarily like a distinct, clear view of each of them, but more that they're here and
Mm-hmm.
they kind of have some different things that they think about or try. But
Is it okay that these parts are here and they're indistinct? This
oh, yeah,
okayness that was described as this aspect of self and being, this,
yeah,
can we notice, is there an okayness with how parts are showing up in Corey's system right now?
oh, yeah, there's just this, such a, just like this really deep respect and appreciation for them and care and love.
From the expression, I think the parts are able to sense this. That they're feeling some of this care and love and acceptance. They're able to feel it.
Yes.
What's that like for your parts? What happens when there's the sense of being welcomed in this kind of causeless acceptance, this
Yes.
love that's here, that's not contingent on there being good parts or Corey doing something right, that there's just this unconditional acceptance and love here. What's that like for your system to be received that way for your parts?
It's like they're starting to like lay down,
Mm.
like they can, like they can rest. Maybe they don't have to work so hard to keep me safe.
How do they experience this acceptance? I mean, is it like a home and just this warmth of a home? Is it like the air? Is it like a hug? Is it like a maternal welcoming? How is it experienced?
Yeah, it's like deep sense of safety, of being welcomed, and it's like a big comfy bed at this loving. You can just snuggle in with the loving parent. There's
Beautiful,
no need to do anything.
beautiful. Are they feeling, sensing the unconditional aspect of it? That it's just here. There's nothing they have to do to deserve it or be worthy of this.
Yeah, that's what feels so safe about it. They know they can't get in trouble, or they can't screw up.
As they are, and it's as your parts are experience, as your system and your parts are experiencing this welcoming, this unconditional love. Does it feel like it's the spaciousness of it? Like there's a sense of like you can the awareness of the thumbs. It's the space all around here. This openness that is of this unconditional love, this welcoming, this care.
The sense that it's um, like my mind and my body have like a I think they'd call it a permeable membrane. It's like it's like um, this belonging, and it's this kind of radiant energy can kind of flow in and out, and that they are kind of just right around here
Mm-hmm.
in my awareness, and that this is flowing in and out of my body, surrounding them in this almost like the tide or something, going in and out, back and forth.
Beautiful,
So it's a kind of an exchange almost.
beautiful. Some questions. Your precious parts. And notice when there's a question, if there's a part, like a helper part or a therapist part, that is to come to do the answer or do it right part. And if so, we just notice there are these precious parts that are helping. As we're aware of our system that are in this tide, experiencing this acceptance and this love, is there a sense for them that this is kind of a special time? Oh, this is what happens when Corey meditates, or when he's in a session, or when he's in a workshop? Or are they starting to taste that what they're experiencing here is kind of Corey's essence, that it's something that is just here?
Yeah, that's they really know that this isn't this isn't fundamentally temporary. It can never be gone.
Mhm.
There are parts who are aware that, or they've kind of been noticing that certain times I can, or I guess the parts can be more aware of what's here than other times. you know, if something is really stressful or is activating for a part, they might have less connection to what's here, or less awareness, or less, you know,
Beautiful.
but that it's not ever, doesn't ever go away. They know that.
And then there may be a finite number of parts that are here in this moment. And then Corey's got this beautiful system of many, many parts. Let's just notice sometimes we do this in effortless IFS. It's stuff like when we were in high school and they made announcements over the the PA system that went to all the rooms and even went to basement rooms. So we have parts that are, some of them we still have exiles that might still be underground, and there might be parts that are out playing on the football field or whatever. And this awareness that your parts are having right now of this ever presence of self, see if it can permeate like it's going out in a PA system, and your whole system could hear that you, self, you, unconditional love, you, this acceptance, this care, this connectedness is always here, and that there's nothing they need to do. They don't need to come to this. They don't need to change. Because there's also this okayness you described. There's just this okayness, just as is. It's just so that they'll know anytime they do kind of long for relief, ease, connection, love, acceptance, connectedness, peace, that it's here, and that there's nothing at all they have to do to be worthy of it. It's just here to accept them, to love them, to welcome them home. See if that just effortlessly can permeate through your system so that everyone can hear it. Even the ones that are in the shadows, even the ones that are really still have some terror or fear or contraction in them. And there's a sense of everything's okay just as it is, just to let them know that they're not alone.
There's
What do
a
you
sense
find?
that there's a sense that it's like a light, uh, just kind of extending. It's kind of this ring of parts here that it's extending beyond them. um, Anybody else, um, and that it's not, it's not super crisp the sense of who all is there, but
Mhm.
that it's available to all of them, anybody.
It's a big deal when our parts start to get that, when they really start to hear that. It's when so much changes.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we want to go from here, Corey?
I mean, self is just pretty cool with just hanging out like this.
Nice.
I have parts that, have different questions and different thoughts, and but they're just kind of floating around.
Hmm. So I have a
This,
couple of things come up with this as you're describing this. One is that part of our intent is for your system to fully get just what we're doing, for your parts to fully get that home is here, so that Corey's system can kind of self-heal itself, that the parts can
mhm,
come home to home that is here. And then there's another intention we talked about, that you have this you get to work with a lot of people. You get to support a lot of folks in this, and there's a sense of thing we can do to kind of clarify maybe how it's moving through SID in any ways that might be helpful with this, with how effortless IFS might be useful to translate. But before we do that, something else. We find that your parts that are just able to kind of rest in this, to feel this welcoming, to feel the sense of these waves going out in this, and this the sense of this unconditional acceptance and all these flavors of okayness and connectedness. Sometimes we usually find in systems that there are parts that are like, yeah, great, yeah, that's nice, and but what about this? But still, hey, I've got this job, and this is important.
mhm,
I have, you don't get it. I'm a father who's responsible for my kids.
mhm,
I have, um, or that's great, and my body hurts like hell, or and that's not okay, or I've, I need to do something else professionally, or something. There are parts that aren't finding the fulfillment that's here now, and I'm wondering if you're hearing any parts in this that are like, yeah, but.
mhm. Yeah, I am.
Wonderful. We love these. We love these. These are the ones that help it all go deeper.
Right, right,
And like,
right.
what's the loudest one that you hear like that?
Yeah, what's it saying? It's
And as you notice that, Corey, can you also be aware of the thumbs behind you? The spaciousness, literally the thumbs behind you. If you can see the two thumbs behind you as you're aware of that, and maybe be aware of a few of these parts as we're aware of this loudest part.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right, right. Um, so um coming back to the thumbs again.
Great.
It's when I uh, practice this on my own, and when I kind of, my awareness enters into this more spacious place
Mm-hmm.
that feels like home, there are parts who say, it's harder for me to concentrate or for me to focus or for me to like really buckle down. That's a good word. There's maybe one or two parts in particular say, we got to buckle down and get this shit done. And that requires this sense of this feeling of contraction. This is what the parts say.
Mm-hmm.
In order for me to buckle down and get shit done, I have to do this contraction thing where I really focus. And I can't be in that place of kind of open spaciousness because um, I need to really focus on getting this shit done. So maybe you can have the spaciousness in those other times, but not while I'm really working on this thing that I have to get done.
Great, great, great. So first, when we hear the sense of these parts, right? That are like, hey, spaciousness is nice, right? It's nice. It feels good. It's there's nice resting there, and there's healing that happens from that. But then there are things that we just got to get done, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
need to focus on that and get it done. First, can we appreciate appreciate these parts, the care that's in there, the love that's there?
They work really hard.
Yeah, so we can appreciate that. And then we're going to play with the discernment. I just love in IFS between like the burdened parts and unburdened parts. And you probably can feel with these parts, they're like carrying there's responsibility here. There's a
Yeah.
weight there in these parts.
Yeah.
And with that weight that you got to get this shit done, we got to get it done. What is it? And we're not going to in any way demean or make less of what it's wanting to get done. We're wanting to support that fully, what gets done that's important to be done in Corey's life for these parts. But what are they ultimately wanting when these things, when these to-do list items, these high priority items get done? What do we get? What do we get from that? What do these parts find from that completion?
Yeah. I've been asking that question a lot recently.
Okay,
Um,
so let's just
but
notice
there's a part
let's
who's
notice
thinking
where,
about
yeah, who's thinking about that.
it.
It's like, oh, it's so great. Like Corey's
Yeah.
got these like very intelligent, understanding parts that like are
Yeah.
really deep in and understand. And it's like, yes, awesome. And so we were aware. Let's see if we can be aware of that. And where does that show up in your system? This one that kind of makes sense of an understanding part that's seeing the
Uh-huh.
big picture. Is that like in my system? It's an understanding part that's kind of behind my head. Where do you
Yeah.
find that one?
Yeah. It's right. Kind of right. My forehead. Yeah.
Forehead. What's your label for that part? What would you call that one that's really helping?
Yeah. This one. Like a figure it out part.
Great, great.
Yeah.
Figure it out part. And then we'd be aware of that part and also aware of the thumbs behind us.
Yeah.
Got this figure it out part where we're the thumbs behind us. And then we're also aware of these parts. Maybe they're to do parts, the get the shit done part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then as we're aware of this, almost like if one of your children were crying, and there's just a
Hmm.
sense of Corey's just aware of that, and then there's aware of, oh, he really needs a hug, or he really needs help, or
Yeah.
wants support, or reassurance, or know that everything's okay. And Corey
Yeah.
just kind of knows this. There's just a knowing of it. When you're aware of this, we got to get shit done. What is it that it's really longing for in that?
Hmm. Hmm. So, um, what it really wants to say right now is, it kind of wants to bypass the question and just say, you have no idea how hard I fucking work.
Yeah.
That's what it really wants to say.
When we hear that, as we hear that, and we're aware of the thumbs behind us, okay, there's this spaciousness, and there's this figure it out part in the forehead,
Yeah.
and we can see that, and this get shit done part. We can hear you have no idea how hard I work. Can we see the innocence in this part that says you have no idea how hard I work? The innocence, the earnestness, the efforting, the care, the love it has in doing. Now we got to do this job, don't you? This is what has to be done. Got to keep the focus here.
A
Is there
lot of
just from
appreciation.
yeah, it's appreciation here from the system, this love, this
Yes.
acceptance is appreciating, it's being seen.
Yes.
Yeah. And when it does get something significant done, when it
Hmm.
does complete, I'm sure when there is a completion of one of those very important tasks that it has, that in a kind of being very real here, something that's very important, whatever that might be. What is here then? Is there a sense of fulfillment, relief, okayness, peace? What do we find when that happens?
Because I could finally have like control over my life.
Mhm.
Oh,
Tell me about that sense of control. What comes with that? With control, does it relax? Is there peace? Is there a sense of flow? Is there ease? Is there connection? What comes with this control? Safety? Yeah. Is there appreciation and love for this part that's just earnestly, no, don't you get it? The safety, this control, it's important. And we get it, it's working. We get it. We do this. They get control and there's a sense of safety and everything's okay.
yeah, just sense of being held right now. It's huge sense of responsibility.
Responsibility, yeah. And with this responsibility, when it does get a taste of completion of something. So there's a sense of, say more about the control, and then safety is here. Tell me more about this, what it gets.
Yeah, yeah. Feels safe. And maybe it could relax for a little while. Rest.
Mhm.
It's not going to get hurt.
So where we go with this, with effortless IFS, is we go for like getting little glimpses as we sense of what this superhero part in your system, the superhero part in your system is really longing for. Relax, safety is, it can't be hurt, the ease here. Then we kind of inquire what's most like this that is being longed for, this safety, this okayness. That's here now. And you might have a part that's like, oh, we should be able to find all of this here, and it's just a little achiever. It's a spiritual achiever
Mm-hmm.
part. It's awesome. But we're
Mm-hmm.
just curious on in any what's most like this that can be tasted now, what's longed for, the sense of safety, sense of okayness, the sense of relaxation, peace. It's here now.
Yeah, I mean, that's where that's the unconditional, just belonging and acceptance, and love. This part can it's just kind of laying down, just kind of being held in that.
Mm-hmm.
So starting to notice that and like this one who works so hard to get things done is now like, you know, almost gonna about to take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
Just feeling so held and loved and this sense of you don't have to do a damn thing.
You have to do because there's okayness and relief right here. Lovely. And possibility that he can, these things that are so crucial and important in Corey's life, the things that need to be done, that they can be done but not from a place of kind of desperation for safety and peace and okayness, but from the fullness of, wait a minute, there's unconditional love here, there's acceptance here, there's okayness here as our very nature.
Mm-hmm.
We can't lose that. That's here. And then from that, we have these awesome superhero parts that have these skills to do these things for us.
Yeah, it's kind of expansive, peaceful, sense of being alert, but also being completely relaxed, right?
Notice if there are any parts, anything that comes up that's saying, "Oh, you're trying to change me," or you're wanting us to change, and see if there are any parts that have voices like that, if they can feel this nature of this unconditional acceptance, this sense of your precious system that just loves them just the way they are.
Not noticing anyone who thinks that um, trying to change them.
This exploration, what do you find, or what comes, anything bubbling up, any concerns or problems, or hey, Sid, what about this?
The figure it out part is kind of just wondering, like, has been kind of observing this whole thing and kind of taking notes and watching, not just today, but like my work over the last month or so,
Mm-hmm.
in kind of returning home more often. And is wondering about this, has noticed um, that it is difficult to stay in this more spacious awareness while I'm um, working, or not so much working with clients, but like doing paperwork or emails or things like that.
Awesome. Yeah.
And just kind of wondering, what it might look like to, it's like, how do you even do that, of like
Mm-hmm.
being able to concentrate enough on a single task, that feels, the task in and of itself feels very dualistic, of like, I as doer need to accomplish this object over here of
Great.
task.
Great.
And
Great.
when I'm kind of meditating, it feels like there is no task.
Hmm. Great.
So that's the question my figured out part has, is
So
kind of like,
first,
I don't get it.
mhm, first, isn't it awesome? This figure out part.
Yeah.
That's it's been like this last month, keeping notes of everything. When this listens, okay, how does this come together? It's like, yes, and you've got this figure out part that's working on it.
Hmm.
So as we're here now, can we be aware of that figure out part that's kind of in the forehead, as well as they have this the spiritual achiever part by the head, these other parts, and like the sense of the thumbs behind us, the spaciousness, this figure out part. We're aware of that. And then, but Sid, what about the question? He had a question. He had a question for you. And like, what was your, when you were in high school, what was your favorite sport? What was your favorite sport as a kid, Corey?
Football.
Football. What I love about this is what we're doing. It feels just like practicing a sport.
Hmm.
When you started playing football, how much effort it took to be aware of all your teammates were. Let's say if you were playing the quarterback or wherever you were, whatever position you were, aware of where your teammates were, aware of where the ball is, aware of where the other team players are. It took an effort, and you practice and practice, and eventually you go out there. And why do we love sports? There's a sense of, we enter into this sense of flow, and then something happens, and eventually there was a sense of awareness of where your team is, where the ball is, where the other players are. It's like, what do you mean? I got all these plays in my head. How can I remember all of these? But suddenly you just kind of, it happened. And it feels in my system, or the way it's worked here, it's just been like practicing. What we're doing right now is practicing. And again, it's like the figure it out part. No, I can figure this all out. I can it's just like it's like doing something. I can figure out how to do this. How do we stay in the flow when we're doing these very focused efforts? How do I stay in the spacious awareness where there's just this predominant experience of unconditional love and acceptance and care and connectedness and welcoming when there's very finite things that need to be done? Something just seems to learn. In IFS, we have this great word updating. It's like what seems to happen, just what we've been doing today. The parts start updating, the star parts start learning, the parts start getting it that they're not alone. Just like for this, I got to get shit done part. Maybe today it just kind of got to recognize just a little bit that it's not alone, that there is this okayness, this acceptance here, this sense of flow, this beingness is here. It's not alone. There is okayness here. And what seems to happen, what happened here, and what seems to happen with just watching people do this is that okayness. We used the word fundamental well-being earlier. It just becomes more pervasive as this background, and then it becomes more pervasive as the parts are even inseparable from it. And as that happens more and more, it becomes like Corey as a senior in high school playing, if it was on a team or just playing football with his friends. It was just, he didn't have to think about it. How's that for you to do it, the figure it out part? Is that
Hmm.
helpful?
Yeah, it is.
How else we doing? Because I gotta tell you, man, next time we're switching roles.
Yeah.
And anything else to talk about today?
Um, I mean, the parts are so relaxed right now. They don't need to figure it out.
Mm,
Uh, yeah, I think the not getting into the narrative. Um, I get it. And that might be hard for some of my parts to help people with that, but um,
but if we, but if the intent is to truly hear
yeah,
what the narrative is pointing to, sometimes I
right,
think of it this way. It's like the child's on Santa Claus's lap, and he's telling the whole story. But Santa Claus already knows, or he's really Santa Claus is just listening for what's going to be the perfect gift that's going to give him the fulfillment that he's looking
right,
for.
right, yeah, yeah,
And as what happens is parts start to recognize that maybe that's what Corey, as the facilitator, is listening for. What is it that you're really longing for? Or within Corey's own system, that's what's being heard. What is it that they're really longing for?
yeah, yeah, and
And
it
that,
kind of, yeah, holding that part in admiration and respect and appreciation
yes,
while simultaneously gently guiding it toward that deeper wanting.
yes, but it's also celebrating the surface wanting. It's what my system has found, that if the surface wanting is for, oh no, I want my girlfriend to be ideal. She needs to
Right,
change. I want $10 million. That's what happiness looks like.
right,
It Whatever it expresses on the surface, what it's really pointing to is a quality of your first word, joy. What does
hmm
$10 million give us? It gives us, wow, there's
hmm
joy. That's all. Its fulfillment is always here. What if we could help you find that right here, right now? That's here.
yeah,
It's like it's all points to that. So it's okay if they need to speak it,
yeah,
but what you're listening for is what's really longed
yeah,
for.
yeah, yeah, beautiful. Yeah, and I've been practicing that question a lot with my clients, and it's just beautiful where that goes. I absolutely love it. What does this part really want? And it always leads back to those qualities.
And one of the things that's so wonderful about this, and it's I think it's what we're seeing in your system, the way your system is finding this joy, this peace intrinsically here, is as it starts by playing this way, by practicing football this way, the system starts to recognize, the parts start to update to what they're longing for can be found intrinsically here. And that's a really big deal as the system starts to realize that.
Hmm. Yeah, 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 love it.
Yay!
Awesome.
Hmm,
Beautiful. Thank you so much,
good.
Sid.
This feel like good closure for us
Yeah,
here.
it's great.
All right, anything else to say? I'm gonna stop the recording and then we
Yeah,
can make some scheduling. Okay.
great.
First off, yay! Yay, Corey!